So the most important piece of advice for studying for midterms would be to not procrastinate. I know a lot of teachers and students have a lot of quizzes and tests coming up in the next 2 weeks. So to remember to study for those and also not forget that we have midterms. So also reviewing a lot of material from the first day of school is important. So to get studying as quickly as possible really helps in the long run, especially when the day gets closer. Anxiety kind of creeps up on you.
Most important piece of advice, I would say don't stress it. It's not the end of the world if you don't do great. The most important thing is just like try your best, still give effort, but don't feel like you need to do the best on this test. You just got to go in there with confidence, but not stressing.
Study hard, don't hardly study. Um, I would say a key component is keeping all your tests and quizzes from the quarters. They definitely help during the study when you're preparing for your midterms and finals.
My most important piece of advice for preparing for exams would be to fill out all of your study guides and make sure you go see help from your teachers in the morning before school on the classes that you know you're going to struggle with, because that definitely helps. That's helped me the most.
So for a lot of writing exams for my language arts classes, I review what we've done in class. I review a lot of the notes that I have gotten from the reading books I have read. So to get an idea and some themes that I could possibly write in whatever essay question I would be given for the midterm.
Really, you just want to look at the basic topics that you've kind of studied in class over the semester. There's not a lot of things you can do to practice for writing a lot. Your hand's going to get cramped up. You just got to be prepared for that. As long as you know the information you want to write down beforehand, kind of have a plan, a structure of what you're going to write, it makes it a lot easier.
When exams call for a lot of writing, the biggest thing I do is pre-write as much as possible. Get a lot of background on whatever topic I'm covering, and making sure I know all ends of it to complete the task.
My exams require a lot of writing. I like to look at a lot of times teacher will offer you some practice prompts or topics that they'll be over. I like to produce drafts on my own, even if it's not a full essay, just kind of write out some ideas and get thoughts on paper before actually going into the exam.
For a lot of memorization types of midterms, I have to start really early. So for my AP psychology class, which requires a lot of terms, I'm going to have to start relatively soon so I can get most, if not all, of the terms and get at least a decent understanding of what uh, most of them are.
Flashcards are always good. I know a lot of people use Quizlet. Personally, for me, I just run over all the notes for that class as many times as I can. Just keep reading them. I'll like block out a few letters or something, say them to myself if I can't remember them. Just make sure you could say everything that you could on a study guide or on a note set without even looking at it.
When it comes to memorization, I think flashcards and Quizlets are a major source to use, I guess you can say. That's what I've always done the past two finals and midterms I've taken.
You'll have exams that require a lot of memorization. Just make sure you're committing the time to actually go over your study guides and commit those to memory, because that's kind of what it's going to take. I would say use flashcards. That's a good way. Quizlet and rewriting stuff. All that's good stuff to help you memorize.
The hardest exam I've ever taken would probably be my AP chemistry class. There was a lot of formulas involved, and balancing formulas was quite difficult. Uh, so the how I got through it was, to be honest, I hope for the best, and I had to study quite extensively for that exam. So I didn't really sleep that night, and that required a lot of studying formulas, how it works, acids and bases, and a lot of that.
Arts exam, probably my junior year AP US history midterm, there was just so much material from the whole first semester, and yeah, it was a lot of material, and there's so many different formats and ways you have to do that midterm because it's in kind of an AP style. It just made it really tricky.
The hardest exam I've ever taken was my sophomore English final with Mr. Brockman. I think the hardest thing, or the most difficult part, was the essay portion of it over The Catcher in the Rye.
I think the hardest exam that I've ever taken was probably AP Physics, just because of the amount of uh, formulas you had to memorize. So for all you out there that have a bunch of tests with formulas you got to memorize, make sure you commit that to your memory.
My favorite lunch place is the Indian restaurant that I go to. It really helps me. I get my favorite food there, and it helps me motivate me for the next day. My favorite breakfast every morning is 2 eggs, fried eggs with pepper on top, fresh black pepper. It's really nice.
You know, I'm a big fan of Eggo waffles, especially the chocolate chip Eggo waffles. You have 2 of those in the morning, it's a guaranteed 100% on every midterm.
My go-to snack for exam week is a peanut butter and jelly and a vitamin water.
My go-to breakfast for exam week has got to be either waffles and peanut butter or eggs and bacon. Just something that's going to get you through those first 2 exams and fill you up.